Sen, and we are going to discuss about Kamala Markandaya in today's session. So Kamala Markandaya comes in our Indian writing. So we just know, let's know about her facts. She was born in the year 1924 and she died in the year 2004. Some facts about Kamala Markandaya: that her name was Kamala Purnaiya, real name was Kamala Purnaiya, and she got married to a British person. So after getting married, her name was Kamala Taylor. Okay, and the person was a British man. So she has been called one of the most important Indian novelists writing in India. Okay, and her novels concern with the struggle of Eastern and Western values. What does mean by Eastern and Western value? Eastern value means when we will study about her novels, then we find that Eastern and Western cultures and Western value. Eastern culture means the characters they belong to Indian culture, they follow Indian tradition, their culture, and the rural life, the village life. On the contrary, when Britishers came into India, they came with modernization, industrialization. They established industry in India. So the novel means the main theme, the prominent theme of Kamala Markandaya is Eastern and Western values, conflict between Eastern and Western value. So the characters, whatever the novel we study, then the characters grapple between Eastern and Western values. Okay, so here also find culture classes, that the Indian culture and Western culture, British culture and Indian culture, and here the main theme is tradition, value, and modern culture that was brought by the Britishers when they came India. Okay, so here's the theme of also human relationships. We find this theme in her novel. Human relationship, in the sense that the characters, they face family struggle, they love their family, they just try to hold their family, right? The affection between members and their relationships we find in her novel. Okay. So here her first novel is Nectar in a Sea. Sea in the sense that Chalni, in Hindi we call it Chalni, I think. So it was published in the year 1954, and here the first opening line is, "Sometimes at night I think that my husband is with me again, coming alone and calling to me in the dusk." So what this quotation says about is shows the nostalgic feeling. Here there may be a lady and her husband must die. Her husband is died. Okay, that's why she is nostalgic about her husband. She tries to remember the past thing, right? Whatever the things happened in the past in her life, and coming alone and calling to me in the dusk. Dusk here represents the time when the time of day and night. This is the dusk time, the time between day and night. So this is this showing the nostalgic feeling of a character. Okay, so here it is the first novel of Kamala Markandaya, and here the title Nectar in the Sea has been derived from Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Samuel Taylor Coleridge is one of the most prominent romantic writer. Okay, so here his work Without Hope, that was published in 1825. So here the relevant lines from the poem are: "Work without hope draws the nectar in a sea, and hope without an object cannot live." What does mean by this quotation? So it means by, if you are working hard in any field and you don't have any proper goal, you don't have any clear goal, or you don't have any object, you don't have any aim, then your work is futile. Your work is going to be wasted, right? So that is what this line is showing. And the second line is showing that hope without an object cannot live. If you have hope, but you don't have any object, you don't have any clear goal in your life, it means your work is futile. You are wasting your time, right? In the same way, we'll get the theme of these things, right? Here the major characters Rukmani and Nathan, Era and Kenny, these characters are facing these difficulties, that just like nectar in the sea. Nectar means the things, the hope in our life, whatever we want to become, whatever we want to achieve. Okay, but if you don't have clear goal, then the nectar is the nectar will drain down, just like when we put some tea on strain, then that will drain, right? In the same way, or if we are hoping and we don't have any goal, then that hope will drain, right, in the sea. So its setting is rural India, exploring the themes of poverty, okay, and resilience and impact of modernization. Here, modernization that we face in our life, that the Britishers came and they established industries here, and here the main protagonist, Rukmani, resilience, traditional and dedicated to her family. She is completely dedicated her life to her family, and her husband is Nathan. Rukmani's husband is Nathan. Nathan is hardworking but struggling farmer husband. Okay, and the third one is Era, their daughter. Okay, who faces societal rejection due to infertility. And the fourth one is Kenny, a British doctor who helps the family but represents Western influence. What is happens with family and with Rukmani? That Rukmani and Nathan, both husband and wife, try to hold and sustain the life of family, they just try to sustain the land, they just try to sustain the culture, tradition, but they couldn't sustain it, because, and they are trying while they are facing poverty. They were facing the natural disaster, just like flood, drought, right, poverty. And while this time, they just try to hold their family, they just try to hold their land, okay, because of they are very afraid of the modernization of the society. So they are hardworking, but they don't have any clear goal. That's why they could not succeed in their life. So how this novel suggests this, the nectar in a sea. Nectar in a sea. It means what we need to say, that if you have a clear goal, then you get success in your life. That is the main point of here, that Rukmani and Nathan faces the difficulties. So look at the cover picture of this book, Nectar in a Sea by Kamala Markandaya. Here the main theme is struggle against poverty and hardship. Okay, the Nathan and Rukmani, they belong to a middle class or poor family, so they are trying very hard to get rid of the situation, to hold their family, to save their family life, to get connected to the people of their family, but they could not succeed in their life. Of the human spirit and conflict between traditional and modernization. So this is also the main theme of this novel, tradition and modernization. So conflict and gender roles and family dynamics. Okay, and the next novel is second is the Some Inner Fury. What does mean by this title? Some inner fury, the conflict inside our mind, inside the heart. So we will see the conflict between means the conflict that is psychological, not the concrete, not the outside events, right? This is the conflict because of the psychological mindset. That's here the main protagonist, Meera faces difficulties. Meera faces a conflict between, because the time is the novel setting is the story set in the early 1940s, specifically around 1942 during the Quit India movement. There was a time when the Quit India movement was ongoing. Okay, a major push for India's independence. Okay, what happens here? Meera, who belongs to India, and she following Indian culture, okay, and she is protagonist and she is following Indian culture. She loves her country. On the same way, when Richard comes, he is a civil servant. He belongs to Britain. He is Britishers, right? And he is working as a civil servant. And Meera falls in love with this boy, Richard. Okay. On the same way, she is at the same time she is following her country. She is following Quit India movement. On the same way, she falls in love with the Richard, right? And he belongs to British. He belongs to Britain, and he is British. So in the same way, she gets into dilemma, she gets into conflict that whether she should follow the country, whether she follow country or not, or she follows her love. And because of this, she faces lots of difficulties. And at the end of this novel, she comes with empty hand, that she becomes alone, very alone, and she faces psychological loneliness in this novel. So Mira is the main protagonist here, and the Richard whom she falls in love, and Kit Krishnan, Mira's elder brother, who is a district magistrate, and here the Premla, Kit's wife. Premla is traditional Indian woman and who supports her husband, who is affected by the political unrest. And here's the another protagonist, the adoptive brother of Mira and Kit. Okay, so here is the conflict, inner fury about the psychological fury that Mira faces simultaneously, that she falls in love with the British man, and on the same way she also tried to get India rid of these Britishers. Okay, this is the conflict that Mira has been facing throughout this novel. Okay. So Kamala Markandaya's works are Nectar in a Sea, that was published in 1954, and second novel is The Inner Fury, that was published after 1 year, 1955, and A Silence of Desire, that was published in 1960, and Possession, this is also important novel, and it was published in the year 1963, and fourth one is A Handful of Rice, that was published in 1966. The Coffer Dames, 1969, and The Nowhere Man, 1972, Two Virgins, 1973, The Golden Honeycomb, 1977, and Pleasure City, 1982. So these are the works, you need to note it down for the NET examination. Okay, so the major theme of Kamala Markandaya is Western and Eastern conflict. Okay, that all the characters of her novel faces these difficulties. Eastern and Western value, you need to know this. Eastern and Western value. Okay, this is all about the Kamala Markandaya. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are looking for any coaching center, if you are looking to crack this examination, NET or SET examination, or any other examination or competitive examination, then do come to our coaching center, Key to Success Academy. The contact will be on the description. Thank you for watching this video.